If you haven't been paying attention to the SUV market, well, there's been a slow transformation that's all of a sudden kind of snuck up on me. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, the most notable change really is on the outside, kind of a little bit more refinement and a lot less rugged. Now, behind me is one such offering, the 2015 Nissan Pathfinder. If you haven't kept up with the Pathfinder, really this exterior that debuted about 2 years ago is the latest trend in the SUV market. Now, this is a 7-passenger vehicle, so really size-wise is going to deliver for occupants. But on the outside, it's no longer that truckish Pathfinder I once remember. Now a lot more refined, a lot more blending of the SUV sedan world, and something the whole SUV market is going towards. When you look at the overall dimensions, this being a 3-row passenger, I just didn't see the overall Goliath offerings that I thought it would come with. Now, what's interesting to me, it visually looked like it was in a kind of a low mid-size segment, but when you look at the numbers, it's easily just falling short of maybe even full-size offerings. Now, by the numbers, around 197 inches overall, with a very stretched wheelbase at about 114. Good numbers, as pretty much full-size offerings creep just over 200 inches, so it's falling just a hair short of that. Now, when you look at ground clearance numbers, around about 7 inches, so it's got decent off-road prowess, even has that 4-wheel drive to boot. But again, with the exterior, it's going to look better in the grocery store parking lot than maybe hitting the mud pass. Looking down the profile, one thing I got to mention again really is this high-waisted kind of belt line here. Makes the vehicle seem almost like your pants are pulled up too high. Now, what you're going to notice really down here low is the kind of rubber fascia cladding that a lot of SUVs do to kind of minimize scrapes and dings when you go off the beaten path. Now, what Pathfinder doesn't do is continue it around the wheel wells, helping again with some scratch and dings should you hit maybe the gravel roads. Now, lastly is really the proximity key entry. Now, a lot of vehicles again have this. It's a smart key system really going across regardless of the economics of the vehicle. And what it does allow you to keep the key in your pocket, simply go up to the door. In this case, press the button and open it right up. Now, there's a corresponding button on the driver's door and passenger. Once you open up, unlock it, everyone else can get in. For any SUV, passenger comfort is one key feature, but cargo is just as important. Now, this is kind of more of a basic model, so we don't have any power lift hatch here, no real big deal, but it doesn't have the traditional handle. Instead of release button, you're simply going to get the hatch out of the way. Now, once this is kind of up out of the way, you're going to look at around about 16 cubic feet behind the third row. Now, with all seating laid flat, that's going to easily increase to around about 80 cubic feet, tons of offering for any cargo. One area where you can find extra storage is right here under the cargo floor. And what I like here on the Pathfinder is it's a nice hinged little hideaway. Now, you're simply going to open it up, and unlike other vehicles, this actually has to be removed or is loose. Instead, this one kind of swings out of the way, holds its area, and you have actually a very decent deep storage. Now, what's cool is, why not fill this with ice, make it a cooler, and close it up, and it's ready to go for the tailgate. When transforming from people to cargo, it really starts back here at the third row, and it's got to be kind of fairly simple and easy. And across the board, SUVs are really doing just that, making this really one simple pull or tug to get this to fold flat. Now, what you're going to notice is a very high headrest here on this back third row, which can create a kind of a blind spot for the driver. But when no one's back here, simply pull this, it's going to tumble forward nice and flat. This is also going to help when you tumble this rear seat down. Now, this is a 50-50 split for the third row, and one way to make it fold is simply pull this handle right here and drop it forward. I've been hitting on this lately because a few of you have asked. Really what it comes down to is the fill up. Now, it's on the driver's side here, and even better, it has a built-in locking mechanism. Now, it relates to the car when it's locked. Well, this is going to be locked just the same. Now, when you unlock the vehicle, well, nice and simple, press here. One thing that makes this a lot easier is not having the release hatch on the inside, something that's really falling by the wayside. Instead, putting all the mechanisms right here at the key, fill it up and move on. Under the hood, there's not many choices, really just one, a 3.5 liter V6 engine, delivers around about 260 horses and 240 foot-pounds of torque. Now, what does that mean at the end of the day? Well, it has decent get up and go, but not a huge amount of towing capacity. Now, at the back end, you're gonna be able to tow around about 5,000 pounds, while other vehicles delivering that V8 power is gonna creep up into around about 8,000. So this vehicle will fall just a hair short, but will get decent fuel economy. With the refinement on the outside, well, you expect it here on the inside just the same, and it doesn't really feel like an SUV. Feels well, more like a car. Now, when you look at legroom numbers, well, you're going to find decent numbers here in the first and second row to be expected, around about 42 inches up front, 41 in the second row, and not too bad at the very back, around about 30 inches. And we'll kind of show you how you can make those legroom numbers at the very back creep up a little bit higher. Sitting on the dash is to be expected a nice full-size LCD screen. Now in its current kind of offering, you got a dual split screen with the climate control and the entertainment, but if you want to go full screen, simply press the button. It's going to give you the full readout, and you kind of go back and forth depending on how you want to look at it. Now you can go through the various different statuses, give you up-to-date information on this screen. Down low on the dash is really the control buttons for the entertainment and the climate control, and I like the fact that we have preset buttons here, making it less of a stretch to change your listening enjoyment. Now down below that is really the dual zone system up front, really dialing in specifically your temperature setting, and you do have rear control access as well. Press that button and you can control it on the screen up above. Really nice knob in between. Now I do like the fact when the knob for the fan is a little bit bigger, but since they're all equal, makes everything a little bit more sleek. Tucked down a little niche is kind of a place where you can put your electronics, and you do have dual power outlets there as well. One thing that was missing from this area were USB connections, something you typically find in this area. For the gauge cluster, you're looking at the old standard analog tach and speedometer with a little bit of an LCD readout in between. Now what's interesting is a lot of vehicles have the trip reset kind of toggle button here between the gauges. Now for Nissan Pathfinder, they actually have the button for the trip reset way up here, really oversized and kind of gaudy here on the dash. On the other side is actually illumination buttons as well. These really need to be replaced, tucked down here, adorned in black, so it's a little bit more sleek. With the amount of people you can haul in this vehicle, well, you expect to have places to put your cups, and there's plenty to go around this vehicle. There's two between the front passengers, one in each front driver's door, two in the between the back passengers, two on each second row doors, and a whopping 4 for the very back. Now that's a ton of cup holders to go around and plenty of space to kind of hold your beverages. Between the front seats is a nice oversized center console, nice elbow support. Now there's 2 trays, an upper one for kind of shallow items and a deeper section for bigger items. Now what's interesting, in here you'll find your USB connection, another power supply, and some RCA connections. Now I really can't pinpoint exactly what the point of this RCA connection is, considering there's a video input as well. So my assumption is all that's going to feed into that little display on the dash. The seating layout for this vehicle is 2 up front, 3 in the middle, and 2 in the very back. Decent numbers. Now one thing you'll notice here in the second row is really the full bench style. Doesn't give you any ingress through the middle, so you're going to rely on the sides to get to the back seat. Now one thing before we get there is legroom numbers. Again, around about 40 inches here, 30 in the very back. So we slide this second row forward just a hair, giving you better numbers in the back. Now the way you do that, simply pull the bar here, slide it forward and backwards, maybe making these numbers around about 35 inches here, 35 inches, equal all the way around. Lastly really is the ingress, and it all starts here on the sides, and the way you do that is pull this handle here. That's going to tumble this just a forward, pull the seat bottom up. Now you can simply slide it forward. That's going to give you tons of access into that third row with ease. Then all you have to do is slide it back, lock it into place, and you're ready to go. One other feature you can find on these seats really is reclinability, something kind of the SUV market does across the board. Now all you do is you can pull this handle here, pull the handle here. Either way, it's going to allow you to recline and feel a little bit more comfortable. Even better, you can do it in the third row just the same. That does for this edition of Road Warrior and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Nissan Pathfinder. Now this debuted about 2 years ago with this refined exterior, and one of the latest trends for the SUV market, getting the robust exteriors and maybe making a little bit more refined. Now again, it's got a decent power plant on the hood, great cargo, and of course can handle 3 rows of people with ease. Now one thing we like to see come back, well, maybe it's a little bit more ruggedness on the exterior to match maybe the off-road prowess that this vehicle can kind of do. Now again, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.